In 2009, the U.S. Mint quietly released 4 Lincoln Bicentennial Cents, ordinary pennies that most people spent without a second thought. But hidden among those billions are a handful of errors so dramatic, so visually striking, and so rare that collectors treat them like mini jackpots. These aren't just pocket change curiosities, they're the sleeper coins that turn metal detecting hunts into legends, transform casual collectors into storytellers, and turn a single collectors into storytellers, and turn a single forgotten penny into a payout worth real money. If you know what to look for, doubling on the hands, the logs, the capital windows, you could spot one of these 3 rare varieties that collectors chase like treasure. And once you see one for the first time, you'll never look at a 2009 penny the same way again. Every so often, a coin slips through the cracks of history, minted in silence, carried in pockets, tossed in jars, waiting for the one person who knows what they're looking at. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cents are exactly that kind of coin. Behind their common copper glow lies a trio of rare varieties born from dramatic minting errors. Doubled hands, doubled buildings, doubled details that shouldn't exist. Billions of these. Pennies were made, but only a tiny handful carry the fingerprints of a doubled die. Most people will spend them without a second glance. But for the collector who's paying attention, one ordinary-looking 2009 penny can turn an everyday moment into the discovery of a lifetime. Imagine holding a tiny piece of copper that tells the entire story of an American legend, a coin so small yet so powerful that it captures 200 years of history, innovation, struggle, and triumph, a coin that was minted for only 1 year but changed the world of modern collecting forever. Welcome to the extraordinary story of the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial 1 cent, coins, a series created to honor the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the humble beginnings of a man who would become one of the most influential leaders in human history, and the evolution of a nation shaped by his legacy. Today we journey deep into the origins, symbolism, mysteries, production secrets, and collector value of these remarkable cents. And by the end, you will never look at a penny the same way again. This is more than metal. This is the story of America told through 4 tiny masterpieces. In 2009, the United States Mint prepared something truly historic as the nation approached the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent itself. For 100 years, the portrait of Lincoln had appeared on the 1 cent coin beginning in 1909. But the year 2009 offered a unique opportunity to celebrate the man, the myth, and the milestones that shaped the United States. The Mint decided to release 4 special reverse designs each one, representing a different chapter in Lincoln's life, and in doing so they created one of the most fascinating numismatic programs in modern United States history. The story begins in Kentucky, where Abraham Lincoln was born in a simple log cabin in 1809. A childhood of hardship, scarcity, and frontier living. The birth and early childhood design pays tribute to this beginning, featuring the humble cabin that symbolizes Lincoln's earliest years and stands as a reminder that greatness can emerge from the most modest origins. The image is more than a building. It represents the foundation of a life that would guide a nation through some of its darkest days. As Lincoln grew older, his family relocated to Indiana, where he spent his formative years learning reading by the dim glow of a fireplace and shaping the curiosity that would define his adulthood. The second coin, known as the Formative Years reverse, captures the young Lincoln sitting on a logbook in hand, focused and determined, an image that resonates deeply with the spirit of self-education and perseverance that would later define him. This design tells collectors that the true power of leadership begins with learning. When Lincoln reached adulthood, he eventually settled in Illinois, where his political and legal career took root. The third coin, the Professional Life reverse, shows Lincoln standing proudly in front of the Illinois state capitol, a tribute to his growth from a frontier boy to an influential lawyer, legislator, and rising national figure. This moment in his life reflects ambition, maturity, and dedication to public service, which ultimately guided him toward the presidency. Finally, the fourth coin, the presidency reverse, commemorates Lincoln's time as the 16th President of the United States. The design features the partially completed United States Capitol dome surrounded by scaffolding symbolizing a nation still under construction and undergoing transformation. The dome itself was still being rebuilt during the Civil War, and its unfinished appearance became a powerful metaphor for Lincoln's leadership through conflict sacrifice and the quest for unity. These four designs together form a complete journey from birth to leadership, a visual biography in copper, each coin minted for only a single year and each carrying deep historical meaning. Collectors immediately took notice, and the coins became a sensation, especially among new collectors, school groups, educators, and history lovers across the country. But the significance of these coins extends far beyond their artistic beauty and historical symbolism. 2009 also marked a pivotal year for United States coinage, as the composition of circulating cents shifted dramatically due to rising metal prices. Most circulating coins produced in 2009. Limited number of collector versions were minted in 95% copper, the same metal composition used in the original 1909 cents. This made the collector-proof and uncirculated versions incredibly desirable, not only because of their historical theme, but also because they restored the classic feel, weight, and ring of traditional copper cents. The 2009 series also introduced a range of varieties, errors, and mintages that further fueled collector interest, from doubled dies to misstrikes to low production runs at different mints. Each aspect added excitement and depth to the collecting experience, with millions of people searching through pocket change, hoping to uncover rare pieces beyond the coins themselves. The 2009 program ignited a renewed sense of appreciation for American history. Lincoln's life story and the artistry of the U.S. Mint educators used the coins as teaching tools. Museums incorporated them into exhibits, and the artistry of the U.S. Mint educators used the coins as teaching tools. Museums incorporated them into exhibits, and families across the country found themselves having conversations about Lincoln that may never have happened. Otherwise, the Mint followed the four reverses with the introduction of the Shield Cent in 2010, a permanent redesign that symbolized Union strength and the preservation of the nation, inspired once again by Lincoln's legacy. But the 2009 coins remain unique because they are the only circulating coins ever issued by the U.S. Mint to commemorate Lincoln's life across multiple chapters, creating a narrative series in a way no other coin program had done before. The production process of the 2009 cents also carried special significance. The Mint worked with historians, artists, and scholars to ensure authenticity and accuracy in every detail, from cabin architecture to historical clothing to the incomplete Capitol dome. Each design was researched and refined to create true historical representation, and the result was a series that not only honored Lincoln, but also served as a miniature set of educational illustrations preserved permanently in metal. Today, collectors continue to cherish these coins, whether still in circulation, mint sets, or proof sets. Their value varies, but the true worth of the 2009 Bicentennial Lincoln cents is deeper than price. It is their role as storytellers, as tangible links to the life of a man who shaped a nation and whose ideals continue to influence modern democracy. When we hold these coins, we hold a piece of history, a piece of a story that stretches from a tiny frontier cabin to the halls of Washington, from a self-taught boy reading by firelight to a president guiding a fractured nation toward unity and hope. And that is what makes the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial 1-cent coins more than metal. They are the voice of the past, speaking through the currency of today, reminding us that great things can rise from humble beginnings, and that even the smallest objects can carry the largest stories. Imagine holding a small copper coin that carries the weight of an entire nation's story, a coin born from a celebration 2 centuries in the making, a coin that does not simply mark time, but captures the journey of a humble boy from a log cabin who rose to guide a fractured country through its darkest trial and secure its greatest rebirth. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cent is far more than a piece of pocket change. It is a miniature monument struck to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and in every curved line and symbol it holds echoes of the frontier, the awakening of ambition, the halls of power, and the triumph of unity. This is the forgotten epic of how America turned one of its most beloved presidents into a numismatic legend, and how a single penny ignited collectors across the world. Today we go deeper than the metal, deeper than the minting, deeper than the design itself. Because the story of the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cent is the story of America rising from wood smoke and wilderness into steel battlefields and enduring democracy. And if you think you know the Lincoln penny, you are about to discover how much history can be hidden inside a coin you barely notice in your hand. Welcome to the full untold saga of the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cent. To understand the meaning and magnitude of the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cent, we must begin long before the year 2009, long before the U.S. Mint conceived 4 designs, and long before anyone imagined commemorative pennies circulating freely across the country. We have to step back into the life of Abraham Lincoln, the man whose story defined the very soul of the United States and whose image has graced the 1-cent coin for more than a century. The origin of the Lincoln cent dates back to 1909, the centennial of Lincoln's birth. And that alone gives the 2009 series a deep generational symmetry. For exactly 100 years, the nation had honored Lincoln on one of its most common coins. And as the bicentennial approached, the U.S. Mint saw an unprecedented opportunity to retell the president's life in 4 vivid chapters, each immortalized on a reverse design that would travel through millions of hands, linking modern America to the boy from Kentucky. But our journey begins even earlier in the frontier world that shaped Lincoln. The rugged woodlands of Kentucky and later Indiana formed the backdrop of his childhood, a world of rough-hewn cabins, smoky fireplaces, and the steady rhythm of frontier survival. This is where the first 2009 design, the birth and early childhood in Kentucky, finds its inspiration, showing the small log cabin that anchored Lincoln's earliest memories. This is the Lincoln that few coins or monuments ever show, not the statesman, not the orator, not the emancipator, but the child who learned the meaning of hard work, perseverance, and resilience. The boy who had no idea that he was growing into a legend. The U.S. Mint wanted this design to remind Americans that greatness begins in the most unexpected places, in a humble structure, built from rough timber in a rural community where education was sparse and life demanded constant grit. As Lincoln matured, his world expanded, and the second design, the Formative Years in Indiana, captures this transformative period, showing a young Lincoln seated on a log book in hand, taking a moment to study between the endless tasks of frontier life. This design represents a crucial truth about Lincoln. He was largely self-educated, driven by curiosity and a hunger for knowledge that set him apart from nearly everyone around him. He walked miles to borrow books. He set him apart from nearly everyone around him. He walked miles to borrow books he wrote by firelight. He absorbed every scrap of learning he could find, and the Mint chose this moment to honor the intellectual fire that would later define his leadership for collectors. This second design stands as one of the most human and relatable images ever placed on a U.S. coin, a reminder that Lincoln became Lincoln because he refused to stop, learning no matter how limited his circumstances. From there, the story moves to Illinois, where Lincoln began building a life in public service, and the third 2009 design, the professional life in Illinois, captures him standing tall before the old Illinois state capitol, a confident lawyer, statesman, and figure of growing influence. This is the Lincoln who sharpened his political ideas, who learned the complexities of government, who developed the moral and constitutional principles that would one day guide him through the Civil War. He practiced law, traveled the circuit, delivered speeches, and debated issues with a clarity that made even his rivals respect him. The Mint created this design to emphasize Lincoln's steady rise from frontier youth to respected public figure, a journey that mirrors the country's own, rise from scattered settlements to an increasingly unified nation. Then at last we come to the fourth design, the culmination of Lincoln's ascent and the turning point of American history. The presidency in Washington, D.C. It depicts the half-finished U.S. Capitol dome, a powerful symbol chosen deliberately by the Mint, because during Lincoln's presidency, the dome stood incomplete, just like the country itself. The nation was fractured, the future uncertain, the Civil War raged at levels of devastation never seen before yet. Lincoln insisted the dome continue construction as a symbol that the Union would endure and one day be whole again. This final design honors the strength, determination, and vision that carried the country through its greatest trial and laid the foundation for a renewed United States. It is a tribute not just to a president, but to the endurance of democracy itself. These four designs together form one of the most ambitious and historically rich coin programs the U.S. Mint has ever produced. Each reverse captures a stage of Lincoln's life, and each design was released sequentially throughout 2009, allowing Americans to follow Lincoln's story month by month. As the year progressed, collectors flocked to bank schools and Mint releases, creating a surge of excitement not seen for decades in U.S. coinage. Kids hunted through pocket change families, gathered sets, and seasoned numismatists searched for pristine strikes and rare variations. Coins quickly became a cultural moment, connecting generations and inspiring millions to rediscover Lincoln's legacy. Beyond the designs, the Mint also experimented with composition. 2009 was the first and only modern year in which the cent returned to its original 95% copper metal makeup for special mint sets, echoing the composition used in 1909 for the very first Lincoln wheat cents. This decision added another layer of symbolism, reinforcing the idea that 2009 was not just a commemorative year, but a bridge between past and present. The Mint crafted proofs, business strikes, and collector versions across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, creating a wide range of varieties that today help define the richness of the series. As the coins entered circulation, they became more than currency. They became miniature textbooks. Storytellers, educators, and keepers of heritage schools used them in lessons. Families passed them down. New collectors were born from the excitement, and for many Americans, it was the first time they realized how much history hides in the design of everyday change. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cent did not simply honor Lincoln. It revived national curiosity about his life, his values, and his journey. Even today, these coins hold a special place in the world of numismatics. Every design is a snapshot of American identity. Every copper surface echoes the frontier, the courtroom, the political stage, and the battlefield. The coins remind us that Lincoln was not a myth, but a real person, shaped by time, struggle, learning, failure, success, conviction, and compassion. And in 2009, the Mint gave the country a rare opportunity to see him not just as a face on a coin, but as a human being whose life unfolded in chapters as rich as any movie or novel. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Cent stands as one of the most beloved circulating commemoratives ever released, a four-coin documentary in metal, a national biography struck into billions of pieces, a testament to how America remembers its heroes and how a single life can reshape a nation, from the quiet cabin to the presidency, from rustic wood floors to the marbled steps of Washington. The story told by these coins is the story of journey, transformation, sacrifice, and the enduring promise of the United States. These pennies may be small, but their history is vast, and for 2 hours we can walk their narrative just as we have today, uncovering the meaning behind every design, every inspiration, every moment captured in copper. Imagine holding a single cent in your hand. One small copper-plated coin that weighs almost nothing. Yet, the story behind it carries the full weight of American history, because this is no ordinary penny. This is a time capsule, a tribute to a moment that shaped a president and in many ways shaped a nation. This is the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Formative Years 1-cent coin. A coin that does not just commemorate a birthday, but captures the heartbeat of a young Abraham Lincoln walking the soil of Indiana, learning, growing, dreaming, and forging the character that would one day lead the United States through its greatest trial. So in this video, we are diving deep into every hidden layer of this coin, from the political forces that brought it into existence, to the masterful design process, to the historical scenes it preserves, and the rare varieties that collectors hunt obsessively. And by the end, you will never again look at this coin as pocket change. You will see it as a monument struck in metal, a museum small enough to carry with you. Welcome to the full story of the 2009 Lincoln Formative Years Cent. As the story begins, imagine America in 1809, the year Abraham Lincoln was born in a small log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, a birth that at the time seemed insignificant, but would become the foundation of a legacy that altered not only the fate of this nation, but the meaning of liberty itself. 2 centuries later, in 2009, the United States Mint prepared to honor the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln Cent itself, a coin introduced in 1909 to commemorate the first 100 years of Lincoln's life. The Mint now stood ready to expand that tribute, creating a 4-coin series, each one capturing a defining chapter of Lincoln's development, from Kentucky to Indiana to Illinois, and finally, to Washington. But the second coin, the Formative Years design of 2009, stood apart because it represented the heart of Lincoln's growth and the transformation of a curious frontier boy into a thinker, a learner, and a man shaped by the challenges of early American life. To truly understand the Formative Years Cent, we must step back into the young Lincoln's world in 1816. The Lincoln family left Kentucky and moved across the Ohio River into the rugged forests of Indiana, a land untamed, filled with thick timber, dangerous wildlife, unpredictable weather, and isolation. It was here, between the ages of 7 and 21, that Lincoln would face hardship, loss, backbreaking labor, and limited access to formal education. Yet despite those challenges, he nurtured an intense hunger for knowledge, borrowing books, walking miles to reach a neighbor willing to lend a volume, reading by firelight after long days of physical work. This period made Lincoln who he was: a man grounded in humility, curiosity, strength, and compassion. So when the 2009 series was conceived, the United States Mint knew the second design had to capture this crucial chapter of American history in a single image. That image would become one of the most meaningful penny reverses ever created. The design selection process for the 2009 series was not simple. Congress had mandated the new coins through the Presidential $1 Coin Act of 2005, which required the Mint to develop 4 distinct reverses each, telling a chapter of Lincoln's story for the formative years. Design artists, historians, sculptors, and engravers collaborated intensely to determine how to visually express the essence of young Lincoln's Indiana life after reviewing concepts, sketches, and narrative proposals. The chosen design was created by Richard Masters, a University of Wisconsin art professor whose vision captured Lincoln, seated on a log reading a book with an axe resting against the log behind him, symbolizing the balance between physical labor and intellectual growth that defined his youth. This artwork was then sculpted by U.S. Mint sculptor-engraver Charles Vickers, who transformed the concept into a highly detailed relief emphasizing Lincoln's posture, his intense focus on reading, and the textured environment of the Indiana frontier. When the coin was released into circulation in May 2009, it immediately generated public interest because it felt like a miniature historical painting. Its imagery was clear, relatable, and deeply symbolic. Lincoln sits absorbed in learning, his legs bent in a relaxed but determined pose. The open book in his hands, not only referencing the limited yet cherished education he fought to acquire, but also serving as a metaphor for the American belief that knowledge can elevate any individual regardless of their origins behind him. The axe, the essential tool of frontier survival, leans into the design as a reminder of the hard labor that shaped him and provided for his family. The merging of book and axe represents the duality in Lincoln's life, the mind and the body, the pursuit of wisdom and the endurance of toil. The coin is not just a scene from Lincoln's boyhood, it is a statement about the values that shaped his leadership and about the spirit of America in the early 19th century. The minting process of the 2009 Formative Years Cent marked a notable moment in U.S. numismatics. Since 1982. Cents had been made from copper-plated zinc rather than solid copper, and the 2009 series maintained this composition except for special collector sets struck in 95% copper, replicating the original metal content of the 1909 Lincoln Cent. The copper collector versions offered sharper detail, richer color, and a nostalgic sense of authenticity, while the ordinary circulation strikes produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints were distributed widely across the nation. Millions of Americans found them in change and immediately recognized the unique artwork, making the series one of the most popular modern penny issues in decades. Collectors soon discovered that the Formative Years Cent produced a surprising array of varieties and errors, many caused by the complexity of the detailed design, which included Lincoln's hands, the book pages, and the contours of the log. Some of the most famous varieties include double-die obverses and reverses, where elements such as Lincoln's fingers or parts of the book show clear. Doubling the 2009 doubled hand varieties became especially sought after, as well as die. Cracks, cuds, misalignments, and off-center strikes, all of which added layers of fascination for hobbyists. These varieties turned a coin already rich in history into a treasure hunt for collectors, with some error pieces selling for impressive premiums as the market began analyzing and cataloging the range of anomalies produced that year. Beyond the physical coin, the Formative Years design revived excitement in American numismatics because it brought millions of people back to the act of checking their pocket change. School children, teachers, parents, and young collectors began searching for these coins, sparking discussions about Lincoln's early life and the American frontier in classrooms and homes across the country. The coin served as a teaching tool, a gateway into history, and a reminder that currency can carry stories as powerful as any textbook. The mint received widespread praise for this educational impact, reinforcing the importance of commemorative issues and their ability to connect the public with the past. From a historical perspective, the Formative Years Cent preserves a moment that might otherwise fade from public memory in 21st century America. It is easy to overlook the reality of early frontier life, but this coin immortalizes the struggle, the growth, and the determination of a young boy who would one day become a symbol of perseverance for the world. The artist did not choose a scene of triumph or glory. Instead, the design focuses on quiet learning, self-driven improvement, and the everyday labor that built Lincoln's character. This choice makes the coin uniquely powerful because it does not glorify Lincoln. It humanizes him, showing the roots of greatness rather than the achievements themselves.